I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have 5 out of 5 board members here tonight. So we have a quorum. Certification of delivery of official notices of meetings was handled by Adam Littke.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, moving on to the minutes from the last meeting. Did everyone have a chance to review the regular meeting minutes from November 15th, 2023?
Yes.
And is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion by Dr. Root. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Dr. Hendrickson. We can just all in favor of this, right?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Moving on to the population health report.
Let's answer if there's any comments anyone has for that one. Or any questions?
I just, on the public health, it was just a lot of information in there. Can you kind of sum up everything that's kind of happening there? I was kind of like overwhelmed reading this going, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so the staff, mostly Melissa and then Carol Stronero as well, have been really helping a lot with the combined clinics that we're doing. DDC has been a big one. We're still doing DDC clinic, which has been...
Were you just talking about the PHEP?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
just
FEP.
the-
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want you to summarize the
Yeah.
whole report.
No, just the FEP.
I would
Just-
gladly have
I'm
done it
sorry.
for any of you.
Thank you, I'm sorry, it was not clear.
Yeah, so public health emergency preparedness, they call it the FEP grant. That was going out for bids, so we did apply for that. There's a bunch of different deliverables we have to do, and one of which is the anthrax full scale thing. And what I usually get a lot of is people go, oh, you're planning for something. No, we have a set thing we have to do every once in a while. This year happens to be an anthrax full scale exercise. So we do that. And the goal of that is just to show preparedness levels of what we can and can't do. So, this year for the anthrax we had, I think it was Skittles is what the medicine was, is Zipro, yeah. So you had to do your Skittles and show you could disperse it and could you get it in time, get it to your staff. And so we had that full exercise scale. And it's as funny as it sounds, it's the way to show, do you actually go get it? How did you get it? Did you store it properly? Did you get it back to people? So we did all that. I'm sure some people really enjoyed their Zipro though. I think a lot of me ate a lot of it, so.
Overdosed.
Yeah, it was Skittles.
All right, I just wanted to make sure I kind of
Yeah.
made sure I understood that.
It's just a big event, so Dan Lark and I were here for that one as the site commanders for this site, and it's just, it is a lot. They've got to document a lot of things, they've got to do calls back and forth, there's radio checks, it's a lot, just make sure everything's working.
Okay, on the epidemiology,
Mm-hmm.
what is the current guideline for schools right now?
It's up to the schools to make the decision for themselves.
Okay.
I'm assuming you're referring to COVID.
Right, COVID,
Yes.
sorry, yeah.
That is up to their decision to make.
Okay,
Uh,
all right, and then my last question on that one was the report, the communicable disease report.
mhm.
How's that information reported in? I mean, we have 233 COVID cases.
Through
How's-
labs. Labs are required to report it for a while. I don't know.
Labs, okay, but if somebody doesn't show up.
Self-tests
No.
are, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's what's
Same
reported.
with all of them. If somebody doesn't, if it's not reported by a quote-unquote a medical professional, it's
Mhm.
not gonna count.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've seen an increase in requests for test kits, and we've made those available if they would like them, but we don't, we're not,
Yeah.
This would,
walk out in the public asking if they would like, they can
Right.
pick one up though.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was still on the same page.
these would typically be PCR tests, not the home antigen tests.
I would assume
Yes.
so, based on what the lab or the hospital's doing, but I would think yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Some of it's just pre-testing for surgery, elective surgeries, so that's where they flag some.
Do you, if there's no other questions, do you want to skip to the public session for the permit? We only have one more of the public here, but Dan can handle the we can handle the comment about the permits.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Okay, I just don't want to keep him here if you don't, I mean, I'm sure
No.
there was nothing more than you hear about emergency
This is the
preparedness.
first time I've ever been in something like this. I was kind of watching.
You might learn a lot. You might learn a lot.
Yeah, you can stay longer. You can stay for the whole thing.
If you'd like, though, we can put you at the beginning now so that we can.
And it's the holiday.
Sure.
I mean, I can give you a quick summary if you want.
Sure.
2018, was that the permit date originally?
19.
19. So, Mr. Smith, right, if I got the name right?
Yep.
He obtained a permit in 2019 to install a well and septic system. And those are typically good for 1 year. And through, we can extend each one up to 6 months, but through a series of events and everything like that, he never ended up completing everything. It is a kind of a legal requirement of the 1 year and the 6 month extension, but he was requesting a extension on the permit. And I said I don't have the authority really to go above and beyond the OAC. But you could ask the board if they would like to do it, but it would be my recommendation, I hate to say, is probably not to extend the permits because it is 3 to 4 years past the expiration dates.
Yeah.
But that would be, I mean, he can, if you,
Well, you know, of course, COVID hit, and we were ready to build when COVID hit, my wife and I, and she ended up losing her job. My hours got cut from 50 hours to 32, and so we finally got our ducks back in a row, and we're ready to do this. I just was at the zoning meeting last night in Burton, and he gave me a 6-month extension. And I talked to the building department as the day I talked to you,
Yep.
and he's, Dan, I think was his name.
Yes.
Was gonna honor my my permits. So when I was talking to Dan Lark here on the same day, he said, well, it was a little above his title, so he asked me to come to this meeting to talk to you guys. So I'm here today to maybe hopefully you guys can honor my permits. I know they're a little old, but you know.
What is your timeline for getting everything done and completed?
You mean from start to finish?
Yeah.
I'm hoping to be in the house this time next year. So I'm hoping 10 months.
Mr. Lark, is there anything the
so,
health department has to do now?
well, technically those permits have all expired.
So they need to be redone, is that how?
Yeah, so
Okay.
technically I guess part of at a minimum, there's a state fees that we would have to collect again. But that we would kind of redo a lot of the work again, just because we do have to.
And we don't have the
Yeah.
choice in the state, even if we wanted to say it was free of charge, we can't do that because the state fees are a requirement. We don't have an option to waive
Right.
those.
Yeah.
Right.
For anybody, even if it was, there's no option.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sympathetic to your situation, but I will say that, ultimately, if the health department eats it, then those costs are spread out amongst, other taxpayers who had nothing to do with this. Because we still have work, we still have fees and so forth, so that's not really a policy decision. I'm in favor of, although I am sympathetic with your situation.
And I would say, from nothing as Mr. Smith, Dan Larkin, spot of OAC says we can extend it 6 more months. That's the most we're allowed to do. I mean, now,
Right.
you all can make a decision separately, but that's what we're guided by. And that's where we have to defend that, a couple months more, not to be kosher, it's one thing to try to defend. Years later is a very different defense for us.
Well, I mean, it sounds like we'd be breaking the law if we did that, so,
Yeah. Code's somewhat restrictive sometimes just in public health compared to other agencies,
Right.
Unfortunately.
And this is a residential or a business?
Yes.
Residential,
He's looking to build a house.
yes.
Because Mr.
Any
Larkin,
other permits that have run out with this project,
All my permits ran out. Yeah.
which include,
The building department with the electrical, the framing, the zoning. And I was there last night, he just gave me my new permit for extending it for 6 months. He understands what went on, it was, paid for and all that.
What is the cost of the permits that come through public health or come from public health?
Well, when I was talking to Dan, I have some of the receipts here that he
Or Dan, do you have an
waived.
estimate of what
Current cost.
dollars we're talking about?
I think it was eight.
For his cost?
If he had to pay for us, not for electrical
Oh,
or,
yeah, I mean, our permit costs, the well one is, I think, in the mid-300s.
359.
Yeah, it's about the same, $359, and then the permit cost for sewage is $974.
874.
$874,
It
yeah.
went-
Yeah,
I
because
think
we don't
I
need to
paid,
do,
I think I paid $724 at the time.
yeah, so, but based on the one permit that's good for like 5 years, it's already been paid for, it would be down to $824, I believe.
Right.
Right, so that's,
1,500.
Yeah. It's roughly, yeah, $1,500-ish $100,
Okay.
if 8 and 7.
I thought.
The
more
board
like
can,
12.
the board can think about it.
Right,
you know,
so,
by next meeting too.
and what amount of that has to go to the state?
So out of the sewage permit, I believe it's $74, and out of the well permit, it's something real similar, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're both $70 to $90 range, so it'd be a couple $100 that go to the state.
I thought it was just shy of like 2.
Because we'd have to issue, I mean, if the board did anything, it really should issue a new permit and.
And that takes time, energy, effort? Or you just take his paper and you rewrite his paper exactly as written?
Well, we wouldn't just take it and like go across the hall and rewrite it. What we would end up having to do is we would make a site visit because I wouldn't want anybody to issue another permit on something and not knowing if something's happened, you know.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure he said everything's fine, but you know,
Right.
we still send
You
a
still
staff
see
member
it.
out to make sure that
Right.
hasn't been
You also tend to set precedence with what you do.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
And-
concerned about.
So, I mean, my first answer I wanted to give Mr. Smith was yes. I mean, that was where, I think Dan and I both want to say yes. The problem we're into is the OAC and the precedent that you can make it, but if I make that decision for you, you're now somewhat hooked on my precedent that I've set for the board.
And how
Right.
long's the permit good for?
They're good for a year with a possible extension for 6 months, so 18 months really is you can extend that to.
But to Adam's point, when we had those septic systems that were failing and we had 2 people come in and it was a very sympathetic situation and so we waived those fees and now we're seeing people everyone wants those waivers.
Everyone with an issue
So
now
my
wants a
concern
waiver.
is, letting the camel put his nose under the tent.
Yes.
I'll certainly leave this decision to you all, given I'll abstain from the discussion pertaining to septic, but I trust that you guys will make a good decision.
I'm ready to vote.
You don't have to vote, it would just be, I mean, if you want to overrule myself and Mr. Lark, I mean, I shouldn't say overrule, but if you like a different decision, that's all we have to know is if you would like to grant a variance, or we can bring it to a vote, I guess is what we could do.
But before that,
Just to be clear, it's not a variance.
Or sorry, it's not, sorry, I should have said variance, yeah, sorry.
Establishing a policy, basically.
Right. Then,
but the total cost you have for all the permits is what?
Off the top
just
of
from
my
us.
head?
From us.
Oh, from you
No.
guys?
It's
From-
about $1,300.
Yeah.
For everything?
No, for,
1,500?
13.
Just for the
13.
permits with the health department would be
For the health
13,
department.
14.
No, but I mean all the other permits he's
Well,
missing.
There's
That's
a
not
water
help.
sample fee was 25.
But that's included in the permit cost, yeah.
Yeah. You're speaking about the other
The other-
Agencies, like the
agencies.
building
The other,
department and
the other
zoning.
building permits.
I don't know what those costs are, I don't know if you
Oh,
know
I mean,
those.
I'm sure I had close to $4,000 or better,
In permits.
almost
Yeah.
between $4,000 and $5,000 to have this. And, when everything hit, the bank started changing their rules on me, the employment, and I'm like, what am I gonna do now? I mean, I had all my quotes, I was ready to sign. And then things hit I couldn't do anything.
And the reason you couldn't proceed with the work was
Financial.
Yeah,
purely financial,
yeah,
not health or anything else?
no.
it
I work for
does,
the military now, so it's a lot easier financially, so.
I mean, if,
I'm inclined to support the work that you're already doing.
would anyone else like to differ from that? Okay, then we have to proceed with how Mr. Lark explained the first time. We have to go back out and do the inspections, so we go through
So
that process.
we can avoid doing a lot of evaluation, I think like we talked about last week. There's no reason to charge anything for that, so we can keep the cost for you as low as possible.
Okay.
And still end up having to issue a new permit.
Okay. So there'd be some cost,
Yeah, we'll be able to knock some off, but.
We'll keep it as minimal as possible, though.
that's fine.
Yeah.
yeah, we need
Yeah.
to realize that we have to speak for all the public
Correct.
without,
I understand.
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming in. Sorry we couldn't be
Thank
more
you.
helpful.
I really appreciate it. It's been an experience coming in here.
Well, stay, you can hear more.
Yeah.
Good luck with your house. I built a house during 2020 as well, so I
Well,
know
I bet it wasn't.
it was a chaotic.
to wait.
Really
I
big
understand that.
The inflation's not the problem.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah, it felt like the worst time to build a house, but it ended up being a good time
Right.
because of the way prices went up.
You have to spend your life savings on something you really want, and that happened to me, and I was like, oh
Yeah.
gosh, what am I gonna do now?
It's a different thing.
Yep. Tell them everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
So we want to move on to EH report?
Yes.
Or do we want to do
Thank
public
you.
comment?
Yeah, maybe
Do
we
you
should
folks
just
want to make
finish.
your public comment now, or you want to? No, we're good?
And I did,
We're all good,
I do
okay.
want to say, we treat it a little bit different than public comment, because Mr. Larkin, I asked him to come in to speak to you, so
yeah.
we didn't hold the 2 minutes, given it was more of a,
No, that's fine.
it was
Business
a board, we needed the board to make a
Yeah.
statement or
It
decision.
was a discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to the environmental health report. So, I mean, I was a little shocked, Mr. Lark, about the number of households who met all parameters is only a quarter.
Yeah.
But, those numbers are consistent with what we've seen across the years from those types of systems.
Okay,
Because for the last, I don't know how many years we've been analyzing the numbers from other sampling, and it's pretty consistent with the MPDS systems.
okay, so what does that mean for the 75%?
So the way we kind of approach it is, those are systems that are approved by the state to treat the water to that quality. So what we try to do is make sure, so the homeowner's going on recommendations from the state and what's allowed from the state. So what we try to do is, if it's, we try to make sure they have their service contract, that they're getting the system properly serviced and sampled, so the homeowner is doing about as much as we can, and then we try to educate them. And then we make sure that we will go out and resample them if it's really bad.
So they don't necessarily, I mean, it's not that 75% of people need to replace their systems.
No,
So
not
they're-
at all.
Okay,
No.
all right. I just
Really,
want,
really what we want to do is make sure they're doing what they can to maintain it. So they're
Okay.
supposed to have a service contract with a service provider.
In compliance with the manufacturer's guidelines,
Yeah.
which are
Okay.
always ideal.
And,
But this is just a time period. So what was the total number?
that was about 60 systems.
60, so 25% of 60.
Yeah, we'll try to keep updating that. We'll have,
Okay,
we're
that's what
doing
I
about
didn't.
12 to 15 samples a day right now, except for Fridays because of lab availability. So we should be adding hopefully 50 to 60 a week onto that number.
okay.
Okay, and so the numbers above, total suspended solids, the E. coli, those are not negative numbers. That was just a dash.
Dash,
between-
I'm sorry, yes, yeah, we're a dash, yes.
I'm going,
They're very clean people.
going, wait a minute, how am I supposed to be reading that? So, okay, so you had about 60.
Percentage is that?
Yeah.
Huh?
Negative percentage.
Yes. It was like, whoa.
Different
So
math than I
typically,
understand.
like individual parameters are usually pretty good.
Yeah, it's the comic book way.
Halfway, 50%
Negative
or higher
percentages
typically.
that I'd come
But once
up
you
with.
combine them all to try to find which ones are actually meeting all parameters, then that's where usually you hit that really low number.
And that
Okay.
was just a few weeks then.
Yeah, that was a few weeks of sampling.
So 60,
Mhm.
okay. It was sort of like, oh my gosh,
We're trying to work with everybody, because it's not like these systems are 60 years old in the ground with, I mean, there's a relatively new system, what, 2015 or so?
2007 is
Or
when we
2007,
started.
sorry, 2007. 09 was 215.
And this is the group that started in Chardon?
Chardon and Chester.
Chester.
Yeah.
and how many do you think is your total number to do?
We
Oh.
we should have, throughout the county, we will be we'll be over, with the spray systems, we'll be over 2,000.
Okay, so now,
Yeah, we should, we'll have a pretty good.
P-value
Yeah.
might increase better.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
good.
and just for my clarity, all the residents in these areas have gotten a letter saying, you gotta do this.
Yeah, so I will say that's been our most frequent phone call this
In
week, though,
Newberry?
is people who say they never got the letters.
Newberry?
All three of them.
Or
No,
knew
a
anything
letter.
about it, so that's been our most common.
where?
No,
No,
you
said
Chester
where?
and
Oh,
Chardon.
okay.
I'm
Chester
saying
and
all the
Chardon.
people are getting letters that says, hello, you've gotta
Right.
do this. You can't.
I thought
And
you
you're not
said
getting
Newberry.
returned
No,
letters,
I didn't get one either, I'll let you know.
No, we've gotten one or two back.
Yeah,
And I don't have
can't-
this system, so I didn't get one.
Yeah.
But it was minimal at best. I want to ask Gina.
Yeah, I don't think we have very many back at all.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Lark?
Just one thing, we did do a joint conference with Lake County yesterday for sewage installers and just people who do household sewage treatment systems. We had standing room only, pretty much. We had over, I think, 150 people
It was packed.
from a 6-county region all come to do a training with us yesterday.
Awesome.
Oh, very good.
Dan, do you want to hit on real quick the small flows that we had the conversation about, the horse farm?
Yeah.
I think it's important for you guys to see some of the change, obviously some of the changes, but they benefited the public, but Dan,
Yeah, so they're, I can't remember where it was, which road is on, but either way,
right down the road.
they were, what did they actually call and complain about?
I think that was where they were washing the horse. They were washing the horses outside.
I can't remember yet. But what it came down to is, based on having a couple houses on the property and a horse barn with a horse washing station, at some point in the past, they were kind of kicked over to EPA for a septic system. And based on the flows there, the people there ended up spending over $130,000 on the septic system.
Wow.
Where I think, based on that, we've adopted the small flows and we can do it under the current residential systems, we'd have a much better chance of helping out the residents to having a more conservatively priced system to do the same stuff.
Okay.
So,
It was just tough to hear a member of the public call and say, hey, I've spent, upwards of $130,000 on a system that nowadays we could do, given the change we did to small flows, would be
Yeah.
a fraction of that.
When did
Wow.
they spend that amount? Was this recent or was this?
No, that was,
I think it was 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow.
yeah, I wanted to
17 or 18.
totally,
Still recent enough.
Before you guys were here.
I just remember it was pre-COVID, and I want to say it was like
That number
18 or
hurts
19.
still. Okay, interesting.
And just one other thing, there is that we might be looking for enforcement on. There's corner of 44 and 87, there's a BP oil down there. That just, their septic system isn't operating at all. And literally just before they called the meeting tonight, they called and said they had someone that's gonna come and try to fix it, but it's like, they need to replace tanks, motors, just plants growing everywhere. It's just not working.
Okay.
Do they know how long it's not been working?
It's been most of this year because I went out with the inspector a couple weeks ago to finally say,
This is a problem.
this is your last chance before we,
Yeah.
because we scheduled a meeting with them for in beginning of January, at the point where we're gonna start pulling like their food license and stuff like that, so try to have an impact.
Okay.
Hopefully they took it serious.
All right, moving on to the administrator report.
Yeah, so quarterly HDAC meeting, we had that. A number of you were there. It was very helpful, and I appreciate that. I think it went very well. The HDAC, the Health District Advisory Council, so the HDAC was very supportive. The most energized discussion the entire night was about electronically storing files and how to update our filing system, which I never thought we could talk 45 minutes on. Had 3 men
It was
talk
painful.
very passionately.
It was a very
But we
painful
did.
discussion.
We accomplished that goal.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Check that
Very
box.
engaged.
I think we should really consider pulling Chris in and getting his input and figuring out if there's a way to do some training and get some other people that might be able to help you just.
Yeah, so we were, and for those that weren't there, the main discussion is the file system, especially when we did the House Bill 110 audit, was in complete disarray. And that was noted in the audit, was that you had the wrong houses and the wrong files that were complete, missing documents, double or triple scans of documents. And so, I remember mentioning it to you months and months and months ago, was picking a day and saying the files as of that day are no longer being used. The files moving forward will be kept in an orderly manner, and sanitary staff or others can update the files as they go. And so we're still looking at doing that. Mr. Lark and I have been talking about it, which would be another bullet point down is how to do some of these things. But it's going to take a lot of personnel time, obviously, because you're talking about someone who, you need someone with experience in sanitation to go through and say, this is important, this is complete garbage. This needs to be in there, this doesn't. Because some of the files, they may be 5 pages, some are 50 pages. So to filter through 50 pages and say what's important and what's not is not, like a clerk might not be able to just do that and say yes, no, or an outside contractor.
Yeah.
But Chris does have knowledge, experience with how to kind of structure those things, which was very appreciative from that standpoint of discussion. In that same vein, with the operation and maintenance, which is why I think the file system, updating the file system, keeping it up to date is very important, because we're launching the largest program the health department's ever seen, is we got to make sure these files are easily readable, that the staff have what they need, and there's not 100 pages of just junk shoved in a file that you got to sort through every time. We talked last time, and Dan and I spoke, and Mr. Graham as well, earlier today. what we're looking to do, and we'll put a full proposal in front of you in the January board meeting is our hope, is 1 full-time sanitarian, 1 full-time clerk. That'll be for the operation and maintenance program. It'll bring our clerks up to what they used to be, which is where we were going to start with. We've been doing without one to cut some costs. And then we'd like to create we need some kind of a, not necessarily a supervisor, but a lead type of a position for that program, because one of the big things with House Bill 110 that we had was there wasn't always someone specifically in charge of that program, and then it slipped by the wayside. This is one where if someone's not in charge of it and it gets out of control, it could be a for sale property program all over again where we're 5 years behind, and you may not know that every single day. And then, as we've already discussed, a part-time to some degree, we could probably share some services with an administrative secretary of some level. That's the best term I have for that position. So this could be help Mr. Lark and I with emails and with addressing the public on certain things, because right now we get day-to-day issues that we get stuck in and we're not getting the emails that need to be gotten to. Along with also planning things that are more administrative level with like getting out to do actually Mr. Lark's going to one tonight, an operation and maintenance training in Newberry. Or Russell? Newberry. So he's doing one of those. Actually, he's leaving here tonight and going to that because he loves septics that much. Wants to talk to you about it, and then the residents of Newberry. So we'll put a proposal together for those things. Operation and maintenance will pay for these positions. So when the program's up and running, it will cover those. My fear, as I mentioned last time, if we don't ensure that we have these positions up and running, we're going to be behind, and then we're never going to unbear ourselves from being behind without a huge dumping into staff, and then we have to pull staff back out.
And if I can just add, like, one of the things about getting ahead of it is, we need to review all the properties in the files. So there's, on a yearly basis, there'll be like a 5,000 to 6,000 address that need to be reviewed and updated and make sure that so we can look what we know we're doing to the public and give them good service. So,
and with those type of things, we'll put a proposal together. The full-time sanitarian and clerk can also help with some of the file updating. Because if we're kind of caught up to some degree in O&M, they can kind of help backfill some of the other things that O&M needs to get done that may not be something that someone has the ability to do every single day. The 2021 and 2022 audit is coming to a close. To my knowledge, there's maybe 1 or 2 small minor issues, but nothing else to write home about, which was positive. Records requests are starting up again. Nothing large yet, but I did send off 2 of them to Mr. Castura to handle. He's sending them out. It should be minor at best, but nonetheless.
What are they requesting?
Information regarding the cross-jurisdictional agreement. So, the Ron will go over in a minute the accreditation, some of that information. And we also had an increasing number, and by increasing like 3 or 4 of them total, hoarding in the county, or houses that have hoarding. Actually, one of the fire departments came to me last week to deal with one. Fortunately, he actually passed away, so it was just strange. It worked out how it did. But we don't have housing code necessarily here in Geauga, so those are hard to address. It's not that we're not addressing it, it's that we really can't address it. And sometimes we get that approach, someone saying, hey, there's a smell, there's whatever. It's if they have water and they have heat, we just can't step in. That's not what it is. We can help and we can try to get them services and see if someone can help them clean up. Which we actually did with, I can't remember her name, but not that I should say her name, but we helped one lady with that. I actually went to court with her one day we got her help and helped get her house cleaned out so she could get back into her house, which we can do that, but we don't have necessarily power to go in and just willy-nilly do some things, which is a good thing in my opinion because it can be used for poor things. And other than that, I did the public records training for everyone, not that you can't attend on your own, but on November 29th, I re-upped all of you for that, so you're all covered for currently.
Thank you.
Yep.
House Bill 110, where I know you said we're in process, but are people getting checks? Where are things with that?
Not yet. When we went to actually pay it out, the one thing that we noted that I guess slipped our mind is when we gave the addresses there was no business name or name attached to it.
Okay.
And so Mr. Lark sent a file over to them with it was the business name, correct? From HCIS? It was business name. And they have to delineate from there because we may not have an actual name. It was one thing we really didn't think about because you're sending it to that address, but the question was, what's the business name? Or what is the name?
Who are you addressing a check to?
Yeah,
right?
so we had to, as silly as that sounds, that was one of the slight oversights. So those should be.
So are they going to be done by the end of the year?
I'm gonna guess first, second month of next year,
Okay.
off the top of my head, because it sounds like once they get that file and merge, it should be a relatively quick
So it
process.
could screw up your budget.
I have to make some changes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
My budget was
All right.
not including that
Yeah,
for next
okay.
year.
That's kind of what I was wondering, if it wasn't gonna be done by the calendar year. All right, that would stress me out, but I'm sure you're
Not
fine.
excited.
I'm sure you got a handle.
Not excited.
All right, any questions for Mr. Licky on the admin report? All right, let's move on to the health commissioner's report.
I'll try to be quick, everybody wants to get back to family.
I just have a question. Is there a review of the financial? Anything?
So we've been doing that under something
The
else.
first motion,
Yeah,
new business.
under new business, but we can,
Okay,
I mean, we
never
can talk
mind,
about the
never mind.
financials now if you want, it's up to you.
No, that's fine. Sorry, I missed it.
So the main thing was we submitted the annual report as part of our accreditation, year 2 of a 5-year cycle, urged by the director herself not to tell ourselves putting information in there, but updating it just about the situation with the cross-jurisdictional agreement. They're interested in that, the data project we're working in Lake County with the hospital, but also would impact Geauga because of the scope and practice of UH initially with that. So just really trying to get us prepared for next year. So we'll be sitting on a packet. It has one, the Howard Revised Code, section 370136. There's about 15 pieces. It talks about accreditation, the subsidy requirements of the board to have hours of education. The packet will be available at the board minutes, or the board packet when it goes to the public. It's all public information. The accreditation fees gives you some information about the Association of Ohio Health Commissioners, which we're members of. Has minutes from their board meetings, how they operate, their goals, their bylaws, and public affairs, which is where we can weigh in on new or pending legislation, just to give you guys a good overview of what potential contacts we have. They have a lobbyist, we do not. So you work at those kind of items. Newsletter that was approved by President Brakey there, if you guys want to adjust that now, since the levy passed and we're going into the new year, if we want to adjust that before it goes out to the public. And just to get some of the requirements for accreditation. So,
Where is that report?
we'll be sending it to you for next meeting.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
I didn't see that.
Get it out to you for that. That way you have time to review it prior
Good.
to, and
Okay.
the public will have not only the information, but any responses that they would like to have.
Awesome.
So otherwise, we're in a good spot.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a question. I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody has an answer. This whole thing about the marijuana. Okay, and the fact that Ohio State did a study and the Scioto analysis, and they believe there's an additional 260 to 400 million coming in. Does anybody know what that's going to be earmarked for? Is that going to be
Yes,
earmarked
It's
for?
broken down.
Yeah, I think there was some.
Well, that's what it comes, but is it going to be,
It's on page 2, right?
so
Yeah, it'll change
25% is
quite a
going to be
bit.
for substance abuse programming?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it could shift, but that's usually, we're chasing it down in House and Senate, it keeps going back and forth. And advocacy groups, it'll change 3 more times.
Yeah.
okay.
And if everybody can, Ron's first in there was the HDAC meeting. If you put on your calendars, everyone being there would be super appreciative. Ms. Roman has her reappointment if she's going to reapply. But it's greatly important that you're all there if possible. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
It is. But who's counting?
Just, I may not be there.
2 places at the same time.
7 days or so.
Thank you.
Any questions regarding the health commissioner report, board?
No, but the information you sent out, put in here is a lot of information.
Yeah, I enjoy reading
I like
these.
I mean,
don't know about
I
anyone
did
else.
too.
Yeah.
But
It's
as
good to have.
I said to
We'll
Ron,
scale back, I'm trying to catch you guys up a
there's,
little bit.
yes. But
I
there's a-
like it though. I mean, I feel like I learned something when
Oh,
I
I
do,
yes.
and it actually comes up, like, for me selfishly at the hospital, like with the xylazine and stuff, like
Oh,
saying,
good.
oh yeah, you guys are seeing that as well as us, and, you know, just
Yeah.
some of the epidemiology is.
I thought
so
it was
yeah.
good, but there was a lot of it there.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, if it's ever too much, just let me know, but again, it's a
No.
good way to
I'd
keep
rather have more
everybody
than
posted.
less, so.
Yeah, I agree, more than less. I just was saddened by some of the numbers are more,
Yeah.
have a more negative impact.
Public health is certainly not
Yeah, public health is not.
uplifting.
Yeah, no, and that's again why I kind of just stated, as we go through the code, and there's deficiencies and reluctance to change the code, and we want to be more active leaders in public health, so I think, it starts to set the stage for you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Committee meetings, no reports. No committees, no
Yep.
reports. Old business, resolution to increase certain fees, food service program, third and final reading. Mr. Lark, do you wanna go through this at all?
It's just the annual changing of food fees that we have to do according to the ORC.
No changes since last time.
No, it's the same resolution, it's just the third reading of it, and,
No communication.
There,
no, nothing from industry or
No.
residents or anything like
do I
that,
have the
comment
paper
wise.
on this?
And
No,
Okay, I don't.
the temporary food number and the non-commercial temporary food number, those have been like that for a while. Then from
Um,
one
this-
fifty down to 100 and 75 down to 50. It's been
So
like
we're
that
not-
for
we're
the
not
readings.
saving these for
Yeah.
this, yeah.
Because it's a
We
reduction
will approve
typically.
it, yeah, but
Oh.
it's
Start
just
the
I
readings.
think it's just the
Yeah,
signs
I just-
for it. Just the verbal
Make sure,
vote.
because I don't remember what I read yesterday, honestly, so
I know.
I did it every time.
Should do the verbal vote, I think.
So what do we need for the resolution or the motion? Do we need a resolution?
Yes. Or sorry,
Motion to
no,
approve.
this is just a regular vote, I think.
Regular
Yeah.
vote?
Motion,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry.
So a motion to approve the
Approve.
third and final reading, is that what I need?
Yes.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the third and final reading of, the food service program increase to certain fees?
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Root, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Roman, and this is an all in favor?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. And then do we need to approve them as well? Or is that,
Yeah,
No,
you're actually
you just
not
did
rid
it.
of them, we'll get
You're
them mailed out. to,
Okay. got it, all right. Just wanna make sure we're covering all our bases.
We publish them in the newspaper over.
There may be flack that comes after the fact.
All right, so we can move on to new business. Okay, financial reports. Lynn, go ahead, ask your questions. Let them rip. Let's go. I have a question too, I think, so don't worry. Lynn's got company.
The number that's in here for the Lake County Health District, the 650,000,
Yeah,
that is for
6 months.
6 months?
Yeah. I have 2 invoices to give Ms. Brakey sign off on, hopefully get processed this year. But with the audit and some things ongoing, there was some precedent over that on top of these things.
Okay, and what was the sheriff expenses for? 195, 297, is that for them sitting?
No, that's the county pays for that. I would have to double check on what that one is. I think that, I'd have to double check.
I mean, it's not big numbers, but I'm like going, what are we
Yeah,
paying?
I think what that
The
actually
sheriff
That
is,
being down there.
the reason I'm pretty sure is it's post 2, and that's where you think the cars get fixed, and that's why those numbers are so low. And cause I remember it's always says Geauga County Sheriff because they are over that. I just don't recall 100%.
We did
Okay,
have
you
2
can just
cars.
send me a note
Yeah.
and let me know, I'm just curious
We
what
did
the
have 2
sheriff's.
cars down there over the last month.
That's,
or so.
I think that's what it's been in the
Different
past.
things.
I'm pretty sure
It's usually if it's like the sheriff. Yeah. I had a question about the Auburn Bainbridge excavating. Is that related to the Parkman
Oh, yeah.
wells?
No, that
No,
will be the WPCLF,
Oh,
So
But,
okay.
what's the Auburn one? I had it.
Auburn Bainbridge.
A bid.
That's Water
For
Pollution Control
WPCLF.
Loan Fund.
Okay.
And so that's the work they do for that grant, contract, sorry, and then they get reimbursed after
Income eligible.
doing the work.
Okay, great.
Okay. I had that.
How many people do we know that impacted for that one?
So that'd be one
Yeah.
house.
The
Well,
shot.
I guess no, it could be more than that.
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but we did actually just get notice last week that for 2024, we'll be back to $150,000, so.
For WPCLF?
Yeah.
Nice.
Which was
Awesome. Nice
which
work.
was a huge win because
Yeah.
we've been making sure this goes out as quickly as possible to get back up.
Uh-huh.
'Cause they've taken money away from us because we weren't spending it.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's good. That means we're
Back
helping
up.
more people,
Absolutely.
be more efficient.
Yeah, Auburn
Gotta
was
claw back as much as we can.
Auburn
You
was
gotta-
20,000, so that's probably one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I had to make
right.
sure what the number was. If it was like 40, I'd say probably 2.
Yeah.
But
So we
20.
like
Yeah, I
fully
mean, it was
cover.
over on Caves Road, I believe.
I
I think we can.
It's
depending
based on,
financial.
it's based on financial information, how much they cover.
Okay, and with O&M coming up, it would be good to have a bigger pot of money.
Yes.
Would we agree? Okay.
Yeah, we're still trying, if we're eligible for the Ohio, H2O, Ohio, no.
No, they're almost backscaling that because of,
Oh, are they?
yeah.
Yeah.
They're reducing
Shifting
that amount, so
bids.
I don't think we're getting in Lake, I mean, I don't think Lake County's gonna be.
We've been trying to find other funding source to help these families out.
Yeah.
If they, the reality is, like we said at the HDAC, everyone knows there's certain communities that they're gonna have a high failure rate.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to help them out, and that was hopefully one source. It was larger, it was not
Yeah.
like $10,000, talking 150,000 or something like that, so.
Okay.
But not, I guess we're not doing
Yeah.
that. You can't.
Okay, so is there, a motion to approve the financial reports, to approve the payment of bills as listed in the recapitulation sheets, as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so that was, hold on,
Make that paper.
I know, this was Dr. Jones, right? And then, I'm sorry, who was the second?
Me.
Dr. Rude.
Dr. Rude seconded, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. All right, and then we sign this up here, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
It
I
should
don't know
show
why I
line.
can't remember some of this stuff.
It's just because there's so many lines on it.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna sign on the wrong
I
one,
know.
it makes me nervous.
She has nothing going else on her like either about stress.
I know, but just a hot mess over here today. Okay, so now we're gonna need a resolution to establish the day, time, place of monthly Board of Health meetings for 2024. And Adam, did you presented these to us previously?
Yeah, so what I'm gonna call it is in January, I moved it to the third Wednesday. I'm actually out of town on the fourth Wednesday, and to not throw everything in, we're everything done. Also in November and December, we avoided the holiday weekends, or give or take weeks, so it's November 20th. That one we did the same as usual, and then December will be the 18th, which is the third Wednesday, because the fourth Wednesday is actually Christmas, it's the 25th.
Okay,
So we tried to avoid that as well.
That's fine.
So those, if anyone else has any other switches, we can always make them, but in general, they follow the fourth Wednesday as usual.
I know, I had the question, because last Wednesday I texted Adam and I was confused. So I'm like, I
Yeah.
have a feeling, I have like this gut feeling I have a meeting tonight, but I
Yeah.
can't go, so I was relieved it wasn't this.
Otherwise, it's status quo.
Cool. Thank
January
you.
is really the only change from normal.
okay.
Well, that's good, because I wasn't gonna be able to be at the January one.
Well, there we go. So it's the 1 week a year I go somewhere, so. Switched it.
So I need a motion to approve this resolution?
Yes.
So, okay. So is there a motion to approve the resolution establishing day, time, and place of the monthly Board of Health meetings for 2024?
So moved.
Okay, let's
So
give
moved.
that to Ms. Roman. Second by Dr. Hendrickson. This is not a roll call, right? We just all in favor?
No, you can be all in
Okay,
favor.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
And you just sign the bottom
Oh, I
right.
just need to sign this
Yep.
one. Sorry, guys.
Because we just post this so people
Good.
can see when our meetings are.
Happy to support you.
Yeah.
You don't get your signature on that one. All right. Permission to allocate $20,000 for O&M mailing cost.
Yeah, so some of these things have to go out certified mail, some of the things go out differently, but O&M is a clerical heavy, mailing heavy intensive thing.
Yeah.
Why?
So we have to give out the notices and they have to be certified in a way that we can say, yes, we did do these things. And so besides hand delivering them with a cop, that's about our share.
There's an additional mailing out to everybody, and then we do a reminder postcard if people haven't paid by that point. And then if they don't pay at another
It's not
point,
septic, though.
then we have to send out
You could-
certified letters, which are $8.
Oh, you weren't asking me. I was answering.
So,
No,
no,
I
so we
actually
try to
was.
do a lot of
Yeah.
editing, so we're not sending out the certified letters.
I'll abstain.
Especially the first year, people want to ignore it.
Yeah, a lot of people throw them away the first year.
Okay, anyone have any questions about this allocation? All right, then let's have a motion to allocate $20,000 for mailing cost of the O&M program.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Rude, second by Ms. Roman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention?
Aye, or abstain.
Motion
I
still
will
carries despite Dr. Jones abstaining.
Thank you for clarifying.
And then let's move on to permission to refer owners of the semi-public sewage treatment system for legal action. What a bummer before the holidays.
Well,
I mean, I can tell that for now.
we've worked a lot to try to get these people in compliance, and it's just been, they've ignored us completely.
Even a church, Mr. Laird, right before the holidays.
Jeez. Might go to one of these too.
Okay.
Just lost in the mail, I'll tell you.
There may be some prayers against Dan on that day.
No, it's, listen.
I don't know if the listing got out to you guys for all the actions we did take to try to get a hold of them, but there's been about 10 different.
Yeah, I know when it comes to us, there's been like a year of work trying to contact these people.
Yeah.
It's just
Like-
interesting to see the list and go, oh my gosh. We
Right,
know,
'Cause
we
when
know
you live
that,
here, you're local,
that-
and yeah.
that to some degree, we know the.
No, I mean, I'm joking, but I do know that there's,
Oh, yeah, I know.
that there's like many contacts that are made before we are referring these to legal action. Okay, so, so is there a motion to refer the, listed owners of the semi-public HB 110 sewage treatment systems?
Your name
for-
will be public.
to the Geauga County prosecutor for legal action.
And I will say the first step that they usually do is send them a letter, like a, not like drop the hammer right on his draft,
So
or do
moved.
they send them a letter saying, please pay, so we don't have
Yeah,
to?
Yeah.
it's the nasty letter from the attorney. I'm very
Did you-
familiar with those.
He did.
Motion, Dr.
Dr.
Hendrickson.
Henderson.
Okay.
Motion.
Dr. Hendrickson moves. Is there a second?
I'll
A
second.
second.
Second by
Dr. Rude.
Dr. Rude. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You got one in tonight.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Dr. Jones is abstaining. Motion still carries.
We don't have a need for executive.
Merry
I-
Christmas to
yeah.
you.
Seriously, thank you.
I will update you guys if necessary, but right now, there's not enough of an update, from my previously provided.
All right, let's move to public comment.
Anybody?
The family in blue, well, nah, she's not in
Do you
blue.
guys need the
Gosh,
rules?
dang it.
Do you need the rules for I don't think. I think you guys are good.
No getting rowdy tonight.
Nina, are you interested?
All right.
No
The
questions?
lovely couple in the back left. Right to my heart.
All right.
I like the shirt though that she's wearing.
It's a very efficient meeting, guys. All right, so, anything else from the board? All right, meeting adjourned at 5:46 PM.
Wonderful. Happy holidays, everybody.
It treats
Yeah.